I think I'll panic right now, and I don't need any panic.
Don't worry about panicking. Okay, ladies, we're starting our Power Hour. Today is Wednesday, Power Hour at noon, and we have got Sophie Tashkovski.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
You did. It was very good.
It's because of my Polish background.
Very good, right? Some people get very nervous about a 10-letter last name.
I know. And so we are privileged to have her here today, and we're really going to be talking about diversity and your income streams, and she's going to be talking about her businesses. But I just to start off with, this is the WISE Women's Business Center Power Hour, and I'm so glad to see so many different people here, and we are on Facebook. So just a little bit about the WISE Center. The WISE Women's Business Center helps female businesses in Central New York make smart and successful business strategies. And we offer free one-on-one coaching, free online learning. If you haven't had a chance to be able to get to the website to see the resilience training that we've been doing since COVID, and there's going to be more things coming down the pike here. Free virtual networking events, because we are committed to your 100% success. So please feel free to contact the center anytime. And while we are on this live, Facebook Live and on the this Zoom, please type in any questions that you have for Sophie that we'll be able to get to her and ask her, because this is your time. It's your time to be able to find out more information about her and also about the WISE Center. So with that, Sarisa, I'm going to let you introduce Sophie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barb, and hello, everyone. I'm Sarisa Richardson. I'm one of our business coaches here at the WISE Women's Business Center, and I'm so excited to introduce Sophie, a just dear companion of mine. Sophie, I actually met you when you were a yoga instructor, and you were hosting this like yoga and beer kind of thing. We used to like go to happy hour right after.
Yeah.
Look, that's my kind of life. So, so I sort of just followed you ever since then. And in terms of this topic, diversifying income streams, I think you're totally perfect for it, and I can't wait to dive in. So why don't I just introduce you to everyone? Sophie, the owner of Syracuse Yoga and Soflea. And Sophie, why don't you tell us a little bit about both of your businesses?
So Syracuse Yoga is a yoga studio in Syracuse, New York. It's located on Thompson Road. And we've been in business for a little over 3 years now. Our motto at Syracuse Yoga is yoga's for everybody and yoga's for everybody. And we really, truly mean that, right? I hear so many times people say, well, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible. Well, this is why you come to yoga, right? And yoga is a journey and it's a practice. And the best thing I can say about Syracuse Yoga is that it is 100% a community of men and women of all shapes, colors, sizes, backgrounds, religious beliefs, gender, all the things, right? Everyone is welcome there. So I'm so proud to run a yoga studio where everyone can feel comfortable to come in. And my second business has always been a little bit of what I call a side hustle. But it's been
Let's talk about the side hustle, Sophie.
Yeah, so my name is Sophie, and my side hustle is called Soflea. Okay, I have well, let's say, I don't want to give away my age, right? But for probably the last 25 years or so, I have been scouring flea markets. I've always been obsessed with decorating and finding interesting pieces and looking at magazines and fine-tuning this vibe, this energy, this style that turned itself into Soflea. So Soflea is a verb. It's the act of going out and hunting for treasure and finding cool things, maybe picking it up off the side of the road and giving it new life or new meaning, keeping things out of a landfill. it's also, you know, it's a lifestyle, really. It's my style, all encompassing, but it really isn't just my style, it's everyone's style. It's living with things that you love and being around things you love without apology, right? Without saying like, oh, somebody come in, oh, you have too much stuff, you have this, you have that. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. This is how I like to live. This is my comfort. And these are the things that bring me joy, right? You know, we've all seen Marie Kondo. You know, if this brings you joy, keep it. If it doesn't bring you joy, leave it, right? So that's what Soflea is about. And, you know, despite this being maybe the craziest time we've all lived through in life, I've seen opportunity with Soflea, and I'm going to be opening a small retail shop downtown Syracuse. And I think that's gonna, you know, that gives you a little bit here of why we're talking about diversifying income streams, because right now, y'all know we can't do yoga indoors. And if you can't do yoga indoors and that's the only thing you have is doing yoga indoors, and you cannot do yoga indoors, your business stops generating revenue. So you have to figure out additional income streams. And
Sophie,
I'm really talk to you about that.
Just a quickie question. So keeping your yoga business going, were you able to do it during COVID, or how did you change that or pivot from in that perspective?
So it's really funny. Pivot is definitely the word. All right. There's a lot of pivoting that's been going on. And as part of my business plan, I had always seen virtual yoga being a piece of the puzzle, but I hadn't gotten to it yet, right? 3 years in the business, you're working on the basic stuff, right? Building the community, making sure the space is safe, you know, building your arsenal of teachers, seeing what offerings work, all of that stuff. And then you're like, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. So when everything shut down, it just said, hey, that thing that's been in the back of my, you know, burner, I got to move that up and I got to do it real quick. I've got to pivot. And we were able to do that, I think, very effectively. We started with a few Facebook Lives just to get people comfortable with doing yoga from home and to see what it was. And then we joined the Zoom platform and have been broadcasting up to 4 classes a day on Zoom. And through that, we've been able to retain, I mean, it keeps going down, unfortunately, but we've been able to retain, I think at this point, 85% of our monthly client base, like our members that consistently pay us each month for unlimited access. Just recently, we've seen a decline because with unemployment reducing that additional $600 that people were getting, I wouldn't call it a mass exodus, but certainly a decrease in membership in the last week and a half. This has been a real turning point right here. So it's a good time to be talking about some of this stuff. So yes, we've been operating on Zoom. I just announced today I found a safe location for us to meet outdoors to do yoga, where we can be mask-free and physically distant. I hate saying socially distant because I'm a very social person, but we can
I love that term. Thank you so much for saying that, Sophie.
We can be physically distant and safe, but collectively still share an energy and enjoy the practice. That's the only thing that's been missing from these Zoom calls. They've been fun in different ways, right? Our pets join us. My cat is a total riot. He goes in front of the camera. He does stuff. Everyone's pets are there. And we've gotten to know each other on a real personal level. But the one thing that's missing is that shared energy of being in the same room together, you know, and collectively sharing that. So we've got some outdoor offerings coming and a few more on the horizon, weather permitting, of course, Syracuse. Central New York.
So, you know, Sophie, one of the things I really want to sort of get into the meat of discussing, if you don't mind. So we're talking about diversifying income streams as a small business owner. And one concept that I love as you're thinking of ways to diversify your income and your revenue is going outside of the norm for your business. So you're talking about doing moving your indoor classes to virtual yoga, but then also maybe stepping way outside and doing something that's been a pet project to you and turning it into a revenue generating opportunity, which is what it sounds like you've done with Soflea.
Yeah.
So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that? Did you get pushback? You know, how was it sort of introducing this new stream of revenue when it seems so different from what you've been currently doing?
Yeah, so first let's talk about Syracuse Yoga, because not everyone has two businesses, right? That they can just all of a sudden say, hey, I have this thing I do on the side. I'm just going to turn it into a pet project. So I'll get to that in a second. When you have a business, right, you have to have multiple revenue streams within the same business. And those, you might not even realize they're multiple revenue streams, but they are, right? So in Syracuse Yoga, the bulk of the revenue comes from yoga classes, right? And then you sell merchandise, right? So we sell Manduka products, we sell clothing, right? Syracuse Yoga clothing, because then people wear it around and it's advertising and it's wonderful, right? And so within the one business, you do need to have a few different revenue streams. Where does the money come from, right? But then when a global pandemic hits, and you can't sell those items, right? Like things become really challenging. So the pivot there for a brick and mortar business that no one can come to is moving it online, right? Because everyone can do that. And we're seeing that people are very comfortable doing online shopping. Can we make them comfortable doing online yoga? And for a majority of the group, absolutely. I think my girlfriend Lori is on here, and Lori has been attending, she's a monthly member, and she's been attending classes almost every single day and has found that her yoga practice has increased because the opportunity to do it from home, right?
Awesome.
She's one of our teachers. I see that she's on, and Manhui is here, and she's one of our teachers as well. She just opened a yoga studio during this crazy time.
I love talking to all of us crazy ladies who's opening brick and mortar businesses in this crazy time. I love it. Go girl.
Right? It is, but it isn't. And that's the thing. Like, you can operate in fear or you can operate in abundance. And I always operate in abundance. If I take you even a step further back of when I opened Syracuse Yoga, that's when I got a lot of pushback. And that I was very kind of surprised by and disappointed by, because I had been working at another studio in town and my business kept growing. Because when you're a yoga teacher at a studio, you're not really an employee. You are more of an independent contractor. So you are running your business, which at the time mine was Sophie Tashkovski Yoga. Straight up, I was Sophie Tashkovski Yoga. I was teaching classes at a local studio, but I was also building my brand and my business. And that's what it means to be an independent contractor. I will bring my business into your business, and I will advertise, and I will bring people into your business. And my business was growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Okay. And I was doing some out of my home, and it was growing so much that it was time for me to take it out of the house and into the world. And that's when I received a lot of pushback from other people who owned yoga studios. I want to see another competitor in the market. I saw it completely different. I saw it as, here's an opportunity for us to reach more people, right? Because what is yoga? To yoke, to connect, to bring people together, all right? So I saw that as operating in fear and not as operating in abundance. I always operate in abundance. I know that I'm a hard worker. I know that the product I have is a very strong product. And I know that I will always work hard to keep things going. So I went into it with abundance. I said, okay, if you guys don't want to be, part of this, a team of men and women who run yoga studios, thinking about that as being a community thing for our entire, little microcosm that we live in of central New York, then I'm going to do my best to make it on my own and find the right people who will do it. And I can't even begin to tell you, when you think in abundance, others who think in abundance find you. Okay. Manhui found me.
Yes.
She found me. She said, hey, I heard about you, and we think the same way.
Let's make magic.
Yeah.
Let's expose people to what we do. Let's empower women. Let's share our gift.
I love it.
You know, it's like when that energy happens, it's like it just snowballs. And it's like, even though people said no, and you started looking at the positive,
yes,
and created, I love the collaborativeness that you ended up saying, and the creation of the energy that everybody should be, and there's plenty of people, and we need to put it out in the world. It's amazing. Yes.
So many people. How many people do you run into that do yoga every single day? Some. How many of you that have never done yoga?
Never done that.
Okay, there's an untapped world out there, right? And you just keep working at it. You keep spreading the good message. So I took you back further to show you how this all came together, and then you build a community, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what community means. You are there for each other in good times and bad, all right? That's what that means. So guys, this has not been a great time. It's scary. It is stressful, okay? And my life prior to the pandemic is much different than it is now. My responsibility to taking care of my aging mother, okay? I have to be really careful who I'm around and what I'm doing, right? I have that responsibility. I am pivoting business models. I am doing all of these things, right? And so I'm a party of one also. I'm a single entrepreneur, female entrepreneur. And if I don't bring home the bacon, there's no bacon, okay? So I have to figure out ways to make this happen. And so that was the little nudge I needed to make Soflea a bigger entity in my life. And I started selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace, because Soflea was always a behind the scenes. It was kind of, if you knew me, you knew I did that, but it wasn't broadly advertised. And so I set out in the beginning of this pandemic, when we were in lockdown, I said, okay, no one's gonna hire me to decorate their house or their camp or, you know, the rental properties. I feel like that's not gonna happen this year. So I've amassed this collection of things. Let's see if people wanna buy them, right? That's a revenue stream. So I started selling on Facebook Marketplace, and I met so many amazing people that liked the same stuff as me, that loved the stuff I had, that started becoming kind of fans of my listings. And I was like, there is something here. There's something here. And my good friend Holly Fody is on the call, and Holly was my manager at Victoria's Secret when I was in college, okay, in 1995, all right? Holly was the manager at Talbot's in Fayetteville, which is really close to where I live, all right? And so I started doing my pickups in the Talbot's parking lot because I didn't want everyone coming to my house and things. And, you know, that's talk about community, right? Holly has been in my life since I was 19 years old. And, you know, she buys stuff from me, and she's helpful, and she's just like a wonderful human. And we stick together. When you find good people, you stick together, right? So then I said, okay, I'm going to test out one more thing here. Is this a viable opportunity for me to take this to a brick and mortar? And I ran a garage sale, a Soflea garage sale. And I only advertised it on Instagram to see, like, are my followers paying attention? Do I have a following? Do people care? Do they want this? I didn't put it on Craigslist. I really didn't put it anywhere else except social. And people were showing up. People I knew, and a lot of people I didn't know. And I was like, how did you hear about the sale? I follow you on social media. I follow you on social media. Oh, I follow Soflea. And I was like, okay, there's a nugget of something here that I can develop, right? So I guess that's my long way of saying, you can't just decide, hey, I'm gonna open a store and hope for the best, right? You have to have people interested. You have to have some groundwork covered, and timing has a lot to do with it, right? Like, yes, it's a global pandemic. Yes, this seems like a really challenging time to open up a business, but I see opportunity. And what is absolutely the worst thing that's going to happen? What is possibly the worst thing that's going to happen? It doesn't work out. The good news is I'm only selling things in the store that I like. They're Soflea sanctioned items. So guess what? If I have to bring them all back to my house, the world is not going to end.
Right. And you know what else I love in terms of a strategy, Sophie? It's you talked a little bit about how you tested your idea first. And that's really a business strategy. You're doing market research. You're deciding whether or not this is going to be successful before dipping your toe in the water before you just jump and splash into the pond. So yeah, it does seem crazy that people are opening businesses during a pandemic, people like yourself, but there's that other nugget of testing your business and developing that following and analyzing your following. Like there's that quantitative assessment that has already gone on before you decided to make this decision.
Correct. Make no mistake. A little bit of background on me that makes me maybe a unique entrepreneur or have a unique skill set is that I have a degree in chemistry and a minor in biology, right? So I have a science background, and I spent 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry. And I did pretty much every job in the pharmaceutical industry, working my way. I started in sales. I was a trainer. I would fly out to Chicago and train everyone on the different drugs and the aspects of the drugs and all of these, how to sell and all of these things. So my selling skills started with the lovely Holly Fody in Victoria's Secret. She taught me about add-on items. She taught me so many things. We would win all these contests and I would feel really, really proud. And so it's no shock to me that I ended up in being a scientist, but taking it to a sales position, because under normal circumstances, I'm a complete extrovert. This, I will say, I've turned into a little bit of an introvert during this situation that we're in because I'm alone a lot. And it's almost like I've forgotten how to be out there. I'm really comfortable in this environment talking to all of you guys, but I tell you, like, it's interesting. But anyway, I did pharmaceutical sales and I did all the jobs, right? Marketing, sales, specialty sales. I was a manager for many years. And then the last job I had, I was a contract negotiator on behalf of the pharmaceutical company to the local health plans. That's how I ended up moving back to Syracuse. This promotional opportunity opened up and they said, hey, you have to live in central New York. And I had been thinking about moving home. And I was like, the universe, I'm connected into something here. So that's how I'm going to get to Syracuse. And I had been doing my yoga training and I was thinking about a different path. I was thinking about a transition and it all just sort of fell into place. And not just all sort of, I manifested it, right? Like we can go down that line. And in yoga, I don't do a lot of the hoo-ha, hoodoo voodoo, right? Like I'm a very real person doing yoga. And
we're gonna coin that term, Sophie.
I love the hoodoo voodoo. I love when other people give me the hoodoo voodoo, but I'm not the hoodoo voodoo. I don't do the chanting, but like when Mon does the chanting, I'm all in, Mon. Give me your chance. Take me there. Like I love all that, but it's not who I am as a teacher, all right? And so, but I do believe in a lot of the stuff about manifesting and the power of positive thought and making a vision board. And I really do think when you think about things and get them into your stream of conscious, they do start to happen to you. So I wanted to move back home. I wanted to be here with my family and it opened up, it happened, you know, and I know many of you could share a very similar story of how you ended up with what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you got here and how you got there and how we ended up in this present moment together. I'm sure you all have, you can think about it and say, how did I end up here? You know, what am I doing here? Right? Well, I know how it all came to be. So to bring it back to what you're saying, Teresa, is you do have to have a plan. You can't just say, oh, the universe is going to take care of everything, right?
Oh, no.
Mom said, oh, no.
Oh, no. You put big girl pants on, you do what you need to do.
That's correct. It doesn't come without action. It doesn't come without hard work, a little bit of sacrifice, and a little bit of fear, okay? I am a confident woman, but if I wasn't a little bit scared about what I was doing, I wouldn't be on the right track. Okay. And you're going to hear women like Glennon Doyle say that to you. And you're going to hear, you know, these big names of women say these same things to you. They are very, very true. All right. Am I scared about opening Soflea? I have some fear. Okay. When I announced it last week, I've had a bout of anxiety for the last about 4 or 5 days because I'm like, am I really doing this? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Oh my God, am I sure about this? I am sure about it. I'm 100% sure about it because I'm a strong businesswoman. Okay. And I think about things before I leap. All right. And that is some advice that I will give to all of you. Think about things before you leap. All right. We want women's equality. All right. We're not there yet. All right. You have to fight hard for yourself as a woman entrepreneur. You have to look through the contracts. You have to have contracts. Okay. You have to have contracts. You have to look through all the fine print and make sure it's in alignment with your strategy and what is right for you. So the beautiful thing about opening Soflea, all right, the reason this makes sense for me in this time is that I have negotiated exclusivity to teach yoga in the McCarthy Mercantile Building, downtown Syracuse, when we have the opportunity to have yoga inside. I have always wanted to have a space in downtown Syracuse to accommodate the over 4,500 people that live and work downtown now, right? When I lived in downtown Boston, here's what I loved about it. I'd walk and get my coffee. I'd see a neighbor, hey, how you doing? I'd walk to get dinner, right? See people. It's an experience. So when you live in a downtown community, you want to be able to get to your amenities, right? That's why you live there. Otherwise, you'll live here in Syracuse. It's cheaper to get a house in DeWitt than it is to rent, you know, one of these, you know, but you're doing it because that's the lifestyle you want to live. And so in turn, I want to be able to offer yoga to the people who live and work downtown. I want them to be able to walk to their yoga studio and have that experience. And so that's why opening in this time makes sense for me, because we have a pop-up studio now in downtown Syracuse when we can use it, right? So
go ahead. I'm sorry. I have a question here, because it's like you have pointed out to so many things that are, you're talking about lifestyle for yourself. You're talking about passion, what you've had, and also the pivoting, and also trying to figure out what's the next thing to do. So we've got these entrepreneurs online here and in Facebook. Yeah. What is it that you would tell them in regards to this the extra stream of income, tapping into their lifestyle, their passion? You talked about tribe, you talked about being real, you talked about being collaborative, but how can they really tap into their voice so they can put that out in the world as you have put it out in the world?
I think so. It doesn't happen overnight. It's been a long journey of self-study and self-discovery, right? And anyone who does yoga will tell you that that's the other side of the yoga, right? So at first it's about the asana, and it's about the movement, and it's about the physical. And then it becomes very transformative. And going through a yoga teacher training, that is really, I think, where it happened for me, is you really start to tap into your true self, your true authentic self. And that was always a question for me, was who am I? Who am I? For those 15 years in pharmaceutical sales, one day, the day I walked in, they said, like, write your name on this piece of paper. So my name technically is Sophia Tashkovski, all right? But no one ever calls me Sophia. Maybe my mother once in a while, right? But I'm Sophie. I grew up as Sophie. I know who Sophie is. All of a sudden, overnight, that I put my name on that form, and a badge was created, and I became someone named Sophia, right? So for 15 years, I was living this sort of duality, Sophia versus Sophie, and I lost Sophie because Sophia took over. When you're in a job like pharmaceutical sales, it is a nonstop, it's a pair of golden handcuffs around your wrists, okay? Yes, the money's good. Yes, all of it's fabulous, right? Like, you're dressed up and you're in a suit and you're talking to doctors, and it's all of these things are fantastic, but you are a slave to that work. And then I had gotten laid off for just a very short 8 months before they brought me back in that promotional role that brought me to Syracuse. And in that 8 months, that's when I went through the training for yoga for my 200 hour. And that's when I went on this journey of self-discovery. Who am I? Who is Sophia? Who is Sophie? What do I like? You know, it's almost like that runaway bride, right? She always ate her eggs the way like the guy she was engaged to ate his eggs, right? But how does she like her eggs? What do I like? And I sat down and I said, I like yoga. I like organizing things. I like going to the flea market. I like people. I love talking to people. I love selling things. And I just made a list. What do I like, right? Who am I? And I reflected on that. And, you know, it's like the vision board exercise. It's the same kind of thing. What do you like? What makes you happy in life? You know, I hadn't lived at home. I was in Boston for 13 years. I missed my family, my connection to my culture, my family, my roots, you know, and I started to see my path has to change. What do I like, right? So how do you figure it out? You do a journey of self-discovery. You tap in, you get out a piece of paper. That's where you start. I don't care if you doodle on it. I don't care if you just write words that come into your head. It doesn't matter. You start somewhere and you say, who am I and what do I like? And then the other thing I did that was very helpful is I did this program called Marie Forleo's Online B-School. And that's when I knew I was going to make the transition from pharma, when my whole spirit was telling me, it's time for you to change. It's time for you to take a different direction, right? I went through the B school because I was like, you know, I really don't know much about online platforms. Like, and I know I'm going to need to know how to do social media. I know I'm going to need all of this if I'm going to be a full-time yoga teacher. Soflea wasn't even really there yet, you know? And I think I developed a model that a lot of people here in Syracuse now follow. I would advertise my classes. No one was doing this, okay? I would advertise my classes. Hey, join me for blah, blah, blah at 6:15 at blah, blah, blah studio. Hey, I'm doing yoga club, which Sarisa mentioned. Yoga club was come to my class and then let's go out for dinner after so we get to know each other better and build community, right? I worked with different organizations. I worked with the Junior League. Remember, Sarisa, that I found you there. And I just started being about and doing things, and I learned and I developed a plan from there, right? So phase one, you know, I transitioned from pharma to yoga teacher full-time. Very scary, huge pay cut, right? So no fear though. I said, I believe in myself. I'm gonna get the tools I need to figure out how to do this. So B school, right? Then growing through that, I said, I'm gonna advance my training in yoga so I can give more. You know, again, another divine intervention. I saw there was a program called Yoga for Athletes at Kripalu, which is only 2.5 hours from here, right? Love that place, right? The program is with a teacher named Tiffany Cruikshank, and she has created a program called Yoga Medicine, all right? And I didn't even really look into it, but I had been working with the SU women's lacrosse team and teaching them yoga. And I was like, this is an avenue I really love. I was a collegiate lacrosse player. I was a varsity sports, you know, phenom, if you will, at James will do it, MVPs and all of these things, right? And I love working with athletes. So I go to this training and discover this whole community of this yoga medicine tribe of women that are absolutely phenomenal. And I say, you know what? I'm going to continue my training with these women. I have a lot to learn from them. Tiffany is so smart. This fits in with my science background and my pharmaceutical background, yoga as medicine. I love all of these things. So then I start to develop more as a teacher, right? And it grows and it grows. And then I get my own studio space and I have to start from scratch because not everyone came with me. I used to have 40 people in a class at the other studio. Now I'm down to 5, right? And I got to rebuild all of that. And I've got to find a team of women who believe in what I believe in. And I've been able to, a lot of it by divine intervention. Anya moved here from, she had been in Chicago. She had been in New Jersey. She was moving here to finish her PhD at Syracuse. We find each other. Awesome, right? Laura Vivio, another teacher that I found, she moved here from London. Like these women, we find each other and we develop this beautiful thing. And then Syracuse Yoga can grow and expand. And then, you know, it took a pandemic for me to get a little push and build on the next thing, right? Because Syracuse Yoga, we are where we are right now. I can't do a lot of growth. There's not a lot of new revenue coming in. I'm not developing new members. The members I have, thank God for an awesome community. They've stuck with me so I can keep that business floating. We're going to start some outdoor yoga. We're going to try to do some more things. But right now, the governor has deemed my business dangerous, which is very scary. Someone used that word. I'm terrified that people will never come back, right? So what do? You roll over and die? I don't. I'm a winner. I got to find a way to keep winning, right?
Yeah.
Keep going. And so failure sometimes is part of it. And I never see anything really as failure. I see it as a learning experience, right? So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to open up Soflea. It's under the Wildflowers umbrella. It's not an enormous risk for me, but it's a step forward. And you can't be afraid, right? You got to go for it. But
no,
you make sure.
You kept building, but you kept building on who you are and building that. It's like in positive psychology, we kind of call it broaden and build, or build and broaden. You're building on some of your core beliefs and you're broadening and bringing in new skills to be able to be resilient and finding that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we had a question come up. I'm just looking at and responding to some of the comments. Sophie, you've got a phenomenal following. We're getting some really good comments. Sophie's done an amazing job of keeping us connected via Zoom. Being able to maintain my yoga practice with Syracuse Yoga has been crucial to my wellness during this time. So
Teresa has
a question, the virtual platform when you do open in-person classes.
So you froze, so you need to repeat that to me.
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
That's so strange. Okay, let's do it again.
So I heard the part about keeping my yoga business, keeping my yoga practice. It's been great. And then you went frozen, so we didn't hear anything else.
So then the next question was, one, how about a plant business next, Sophie? Question mark, smiley face. And then another question, how will you integrate the virtual platform when you do open in-person classes?
Yeah. So just a quick touch on the plants, Anya, you're so funny. So Anya and I are avid gardeners, and one of the things about Syracuse Yoga that is so lovely is that we have so many plants in the studio, and there's this wonderful symbiotic relationship between the humans and the plants, right? They give us oxygen, we give them CO2, they grow and grow and grow, and I'm always in there repotting the plants, right? There's so much growth there. And the plants grow, the business grows. It's just like a very interesting sort of like thing that happens. And so I can call myself a plant rescuer. The other day I went on Facebook Marketplace run and these people were moving and they had 3 plants that were just like crying. We don't know what to do with these. I said, allow me. I took them, I repot them. I talked to the plants. I'm one of those. Somebody just bought me a t-shirt, my best friend Sophie, and it says, I wet my plants. And I thought that was so funny because it's so true.
Oh my God, so cute.
I plants a lot. I'm all over these plants and I rehab.
Hey, I just named one of my succulents, so I totally understand.
Yeah. So that's just a side note. Maybe that's a third business, plant rehabilitation. I'm not an expert, but I did inherit my dad's green thumb. So if you have a plant that needs help, reach out. All right. I've got like 4 Instagram accounts and 5 Facebooks. You can find me. Okay. The next thing is, how will we integrate Zoom? You know, it's been so successful and the reach is so far. For some women who they were having a tough time getting to the studio because they live far and the commute is difficult and the timing of classes, they've been able to come to class so much more. So we will, without question, continue the Zoom platform. There'll be ways, you know, we might have classes like at the same time, one in the studio, one on Zoom, right? Or we might have the class in the studio be also on Zoom, right? So we will definitely keep that going. And, we'll work with our community and find out what times are the ones that make the most sense for people. And we have some teachers that may just be virtual teachers moving forward. They might not be back in the studio. They may just be teaching on our virtual platform. I've talked to a few people about that. Like Laura V lives on Oneida Lake. It's really challenging for her to get to me and back and to me and back. That's a big drive. But she's been teaching a lot of our online classes with great success, and she loves the platform. So she'll stay on Zoom and maybe be in the studio once a week. So without question, we're going to continue because we're talking here about diversifying revenue streams. That is without question one that's a new one that I've discovered. I always thought I would do it, but I wasn't pushed into it until now. So yeah, stay with us.
Sophie, somebody wrote on here, Anya, talk about hashtag growth.
Yeah, I think she's talking about the plants.
Okay, all right, okay.
Grow in parallel, right, Anya? As the plants grow, the studio grows. It's just been this remarkable situation. And, stagnation is the enemy, really. Like, you have to keep moving forward. You have to keep growing. You have to keep diversifying. And you have to give the community what they need, what they want, and what they need. Sometimes they don't really know what they need, so you have to sit back and think, what do they need? And offer it to them, right? Like, my job when I'm teaching a yoga class is to take some space, right? Let's all take some space and then let me lead you, right? Because we're all busy. We're all doing things. Like, if you're anything like me, I'm making all the decisions all day, right? So I want to create some space for people that they can unload and not have to make all the decisions. And sometimes they don't even know that they need that, right? But then at the end, why do you feel so good? Oh, because I let myself go for a second. I allowed myself to surrender, soften a bit, and let somebody else lead.
Just love it.
How it goes.
One of the things about going back to the growth is that you're growing the plants, but just taking a look at the analogy of how you have grown and how you have diversified and how you have changed and the growth. And that's one of the things I think as an entrepreneur is we're never stopping to learn and to grow. I mean, we just have to do, and that's like what you're doing. So the analogy with the plant, that it gets, you got to repot it because you got to grow. Beautiful. Love it.
Sometimes I love this analogy with, oh my God, we could spend an entire hour on this analogy because seriously, it's deep. It's really, really deep. I mean, you're talking about growth, and plants grow from the inside out. Like, what we don't see what they're going through inside. We only see the beautiful flowers, but there's a lot of energy that plants expend, they expend it from their roots. So we similarly are the same way as humans, growing from our inside out. Yeah. So Sophie, when you're talking about how you discovered new ways to grow your business, and I'm going to call it that, because we're saying diversify your income streams. That's growing your business by definition. So one of the ways you've mentioned, you've been able to identify ways to grow your business by looking back inside and determining what you are passionate about and what you align with. Yeah. I think that that's important to sort of isolate from our conversation for some of the women on the call who are looking for some tactics. I mean, let's say, tactic one, look inside, and then the other tactics you mentioned is testing these ideas and taking an analytical approach, which is business women, come on, we have to get used to doing that. So I love isolating those two ideas, Sophie.
You have to. I mean, you cannot go into a business and just be like, hey, let's just see how this goes, right? You have to do research. You have to plan, okay? You have to be analytical. I know we don't love that, right? We just want to be the doers. But, I wear a lot of different hats with these businesses. I'm the CEO. I'm the CFO, all right? I am in charge of everything, soup to nuts, okay? So I got to know how it works inside and out. And, you got to know flat out, like, if you don't know this, this is the first place you're going to start. Okay. The very first thing is, what am I passionate about? Right. Number two, what is it going to cost for me to do this? All right. What's my, and some people call it your nut, right? Like, what's the nut? What do I need to make in order for this to just tread? And what number do I know I have to hit in order for this to be successful, right? And that's a little bit hard, but you have to look at your startup costs and say, okay, it costs, and all of them, all right? All of them costs. If you want to have a website on Squarespace, that costs $144 a year, right? If you want to buy a domain name, that costs a certain amount of money, all right? Whoever's going to host it, this and that, all right? Mindbody for us, for people that run yoga studios, Mindbody is very, very expensive. How about credit card fees, right? That has been atrocious. And now, no one uses cash. So every sale I make, I lose a percentage of it just so people can run their credit card, right? But I have to know exactly what that is each month, right? You have to look at all the costs associated with the business and say, I need to achieve X number, all right? And where did I learn that? I learned that in pharmaceutical sales. In pharmaceutical sales, in any sales job, right? Holly will tell you this at Talbot's, right? There's a goal you need to meet, a daily goal, right, of sales. There's a weekly goal. There's a monthly goal of sales in order for you to achieve success, right? Like,
and for the technical business women on the phone, that's called your break-even point. What Sophie's talking about, and it's a very integral part of your business plan. And you're right, Sophie, you should be able to break that down to a daily target.
Yes, I know at Syracuse Yoga exactly how much money needs to be made every day in order to achieve, all the bills being paid, and my own mortgage being paid, right? Because I have to live, right? If you are not achieving that number, and you won't in the beginning, right? Like with the Syracuse Yoga, it was a big surprise. I was having these classes of 40 people, and then all of a sudden I went down to 2, and I was like, not everyone came with me. And ego slipped in a little bit. And I said, you know what? They don't know this location. They know me. It takes a long time for people to, if you're dedicated to one thing. And more than anything, I wanted people to be happy with where they were. So I had to work extra hard. Those first few months were really difficult, but I had money built in, knowing that the first few months were going to be at a loss, right? And then as things were growing, as more members came in, I said, okay, I'm watching that number and I'm saying, what do I need to do to achieve X today, right? How many memberships need to be sold? How many t-shirts need to be sold? What do I do? So then I look at my advertising. I say, what can I push today? Right? What's the push? Maybe I'm going to write a post about our new t-shirts. Maybe I'm going to write a post about this, a post about that, and get people interested and get things going, because it's sales, it's business. All right. It wasn't about if people liked me or not. It's a business, right? Like I have to achieve a number. Otherwise, guys, it's called a hobby. All right. It's called a hobby if it's not making any money. And the IRS will be very quick to tell you, after 2 to 3 years, if your business is not making money, they will flat out tell you, this is not a business. This is a hobby.
So, Sophie, we got a couple of questions, and then I really do want to open it up to some wrap-up comments. But so I'll read the first one.
Yeah.
Do you have suggestions for people who have multiple gifts and how to brand that?
Mm-hmm. I think we all have multiple gifts, right? We all have things, several things. How do you brand it? I can tell you from my experience, I started with one, right? I started with one to see how it would go, because I think in order to establish my second business, Soflea, I had to have a strong first business going. If you have a bunch of little things that are all kind of petering around low, it's very hard to bring them all up, right? So my suggestion to whomever asked that question is start with one, right? See how it goes. Put your energy into one. Start to mention two. That's what I did. You know, a lot of people knew I was Soflea. You know, they know about Soflea, they know about the lifestyle. And I would post about the treasures I found on, you know, like there's a Syracuse yoga page, there's a Sophie page, right, on Facebook. Now there's a Soflea page, you know, and just kind of build it as you go and get people interested, get people seeing and see what develops, right? Now, I'm not saying this is going to skyrocket. I really hope Soflea is successful because I love it. I love monetizing my hobbies. I love hunting and gathering and keeping stuff out of a landfill and saving Mother Earth. I love the people I meet along the way. I love the connection. I love all of it, right? It might not work, right? I don't know, but I'm going to hope that it does. And then, so if you have multiple things that you're good with, that you're good at, you're going to try one at a time and add in the next. But also don't spread yourself too thin.
Yeah.
That's a mistake women make is we do too much and then nothing gets the right amount of attention, right? Develop a team of people that you can count on, a support staff, right? How do you know if it's going to be successful or not? Run it against your squad, right? I got a squad, all right? I've got a girl team. I have people in the yoga medicine tribe, all over the country, all over the world that I talk to.
You have a big tribe.
Huge. I have a huge tribe. And I continually build that, right? I've got my close girlfriends from high school that I run ideas by. One of my best friends from high school has a fitness business in Duxbury, Massachusetts, right? So we trade ideas. Hey, this is working for me. What's working for you, right? Mon is just down the road. Talk to Mon. How you doing? We were just texting this morning about like, how are we going to help each other? How am I going to help her grow a brand new business? How do we continue to interact? What can we do? What can we share? How do we learn from each other, right? How do we empower each other? Have your team, you know, it doesn't have to be all women, it should be some men too, right? What do you think about this, right? Yoga is not gender specific, it shouldn't be, right? It should be for all, right? So ask guys what they think about certain classes. That's how I developed yoga for runners. It's our most successful class at Syracuse Yoga. I started working with the runner guys. Guys, why don't you come to yoga? I don't feel flexible enough. I go, what if I call it yoga for runners? Will that make you feel better? Well, yeah, because I'm a runner and I feel like the other runners aren't as flexible either. So like I wouldn't feel like I was in this room of bendy Bendersons, right?
Yeah.
And more guys come to that class than any of the other classes, right? You gotta talk to people. You gotta figure out what they want. Yeah, Yoga Sculpt, Anya says that too. We get a lot of guys in Yoga Sculpt because it's a really physical class. You use weights in your yoga poses and do all this stuff, you know, but we talk to the people. What is it?
And I think that's an important business concept, Sophie, where, yeah, you know, when you're talking about developing your business and growing it in different ways, you have to start with who you have already and get their opinions, your customers, you know, treat them like your friends so that you can learn from them and learn other things that they're interested in. Absolutely. So I wanted to ask a couple of other questions that are popping up, Sophie. You're a celebrity, you know that.
I know. I'm a human being who loves to share and loves connection.
And passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
Yes, and phenomenal at it. So one of the questions was, do you like the idea of brand ambassadors? And then another question specific to your business, will you be increasing rates given the impact of the pandemic? So I like those two because it's about income.
Yeah, so I would never represent a brand that I do not believe in, okay, first and foremost. So I get asked probably, and this is not a brag, okay, but I get a message, probably 5 messages a day from different yoga clothing companies or massage roller or any like kind of stuff. Would you be an ambassador for us? And I always say right off the bat, send me some of your product to test. And if I think it's really good, I will sign on with you. And 9 times out of 10, they say to me, oh, we don't do that. Well, why would I represent your brand if I don't know anything about your brand, right? There are certain brands I love. I'm not afraid to tell people about it, but I would never represent a brand that I didn't believe in. That's certainly a revenue stream, right? If you find one where they pay you to be an ambassador, all right, or they give you free classes, or they give you something, right? I will only align myself with other businesses that have the same belief that I do. Yoga for everybody, yoga for everybody. So if your advertisements for yoga clothing are only size 2, super skinny, tiny white women, I'm not interested, right? I really work very closely with Athleta. Athleta, I really believe in their brand, the quality of their clothing. And if you look at Athleta's ads recently, they're super diverse. They show a broad range of women's in different shapes, sizes. They have clothing for girls. I'm not sure if they have clothing for men yet, but I believe in what they do. And so I'm very happy to partner with Athleta because it's a similar situation. It's the same promotion that I'm after. Second question was,
are you saying increasing prices because of being through this pandemic?
Yeah, so it says, will you be increasing rates given the impact of the pandemic? So I'd love for you to answer that in 2 ways. One, with your specific business, and then 2, maybe just as an advice in general, the concept of increasing rates to align with challenges, economic challenges that you may be facing as a business owner.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of businesses add a COVID tax. I have seen people raise prices. Definitely the nail salons did that. The manicures and pedicures have gone up in price, and there's a COVID tax. And I understand because they had to invest a lot of money in personal protective equipment, and they were out of work for so long. For us, we pivoted really quick. And while we certainly, our trajectory at Syracuse Yoga for this year was phew, it was about, this year 3, we were about to blow it out of the water. And then COVID. And so it hasn't been this, it's been more of just this. So I do not intend to increase prices. We are on the high end, because what you get with Syracuse Yoga is so much more than you would get at a traditional yoga studio. You get community. We really are paying attention to students. We are helping you develop your yoga journey. We are teaching you how to do yoga safely and correctly. We do not have a single instructor that's up in front of the room doing her own practice and saying, catch up with me if you can. We are working there. We are dedicated to help practice yoga safely and correctly. My big thing is chaturanga and making sure that people are doing it safely and correctly, because I have gone to classes where people say, and now do chaturanga. And then a client said, I don't know how to do that. And they said, just look around and watch the other people. I call myself a yoga teacher. I am a yoga instructor, right? I teach the class. I am teaching you how to do yoga. So our prices are, it's $18 for a drop-in in person. It's $16 for a online Zoom class, right? It's $10 to attend one of our pre-recorded. You can buy one of our pre-recorded classes for $10 and have it for 2 weeks. You can take it as many times as you want in 2 weeks. So I feel like our pricing is the right pricing for what we give to our community. And because so many people have stayed with us, I'm not in a situation, I can't speak for other studios, I'm not in a situation where I need to ramp up prices. You'll probably see some advertising of hey, please buy a t-shirt, please buy a mat, because that helps, right? The stuff, it doesn't help me with that stuff sitting around doing nothing. It helps me if I sell it, right? But I don't intend to increase prices because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I understand why people did. I absolutely understand why people did. I don't intend on doing that.
Thanks for answering that, Sophie. So I am actually, oh my goodness, I'm going to wrap up our call today. We're knocking on the door of 1 o'clock, and I want to thank everyone for your time. If you enjoyed this, we are on every Wednesday at noon for our Power Hour. Please visit the WISE Women's Business Center website. where you can register for similar events and roundtables. And then, of course, Barb, myself, and Lacey, we are the business counselors here at WISE, offering free one-on-one business consulting to women business owners in the area. So please absolutely consider that as well. Sophie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Please have me back anytime. I really enjoyed being able to talk to so many people. If you're looking for me, it's Sophie at qcyoga.com. Our website is qcyoga.com. We have a new Soflea website, sofleasyracuse.com. You can find me on Facebook. There's like 3 accounts there. You can find me on Instagram. There's 4 accounts there. Okay, so please stay in touch. Come check us out virtually, or we start live classes next Wednesday night over Nail Barn, in Fayetteville. And it's a big, beautiful, safe space. We'd love to see you in person, physically distant, of course. So thank you all for having me. I really enjoyed talking to everyone today.
Thank you, Sophie.
Everyone. Thank you.
Namaste.
Take care. Bye. Thank you, Sophie. That was really, really wonderful. Really appreciate it. I think connected with a whole bunch of people. And I love your story because somewhere along the line, I want to connect because you know what? This first generation really creates a whole totally different paradigm. But I think it was great. So thank you so much for being here.
How did it look on Facebook?